Thank you, Ceann Corla, and thank you, Minister, for coming in to take the question. Just one matter has arisen this morning, Ceann Corla, and it's in relation to the CBS primary school in Wexford, which had a very much publicised closure to students this week because of a COVID outbreak. And I emphasise students because the students were asked not to come to school, but all of the teachers and the staff attended at school in order to provide online learning. This has coveted some very poor publicity, but particularly the principal, Vicky Byrne, and the Board of Management, who have the full support of the children whose health and safety they have prioritised, and the families, Minister. And I think it's incumbent on the Department to address the fact that the HSE have not been forthcoming with the support that was required to prevent this action having to be taken. So there are questions to be answered, and I think primarily for the parents and for the teachers, the principal, who is in charge of a situation like this? Who's responsible? And I'll move on, Ceann Corla, absolutely. I will. I'll move on. Thank you. But the real question I have then today, of which was set down, was in relation to a CBS post-primary in New Ross, who have written to the Department in 2017, Minister, to address the physical education needs of the children. There are over 403 pupils in the school. They have no PE hall. Since 2017, the Principal, Pat Rossiter, has received just 2 responses from the Department. One was on the 12th of December 2017 from your predecessor, Mr. Richard Bruton, or even a pre-predecessor, to say that the application had been received. And again, on the 9th of February 2018, a letter from Minister Paul Kehoe acknowledging that the sports hall application had been received. Now, I have been involved, obviously, since being elected in the last 18-20 months, and I've received the same reply to my correspondence a number of times. So the latest I received was in September just gone, of which I'll just read an excerpt. Under the National Development Plan, increased funding has been provided for the school sector capital investment programme. This funding allows for a continued focus on the provision of new permanent school places to keep pace with demographic demand, and also provide for an additional focus on the refurbishment of existing school buildings to include the building and modernisation of PE facilities in post-primary schools. Now, also, last Ceann Corla, in the National Development Plan on page 138, it now says, the strengthening focus of refurbishment of existing school stock will have different strands to include those listed. A PE build and modernisation programme will enable students in post-primary schools to have access to appropriate facilities to support PE provision, particularly also in the context of the rollout of PE as a Leaving Cert subject. Enhanced and modernised PE facilities will also provide important amenities for local communities. Now, Minister, that's brilliant, but I do hope it's going to be delivered. So the question I have for you today is, when will you provide the funding for a PE classroom or hall for the CBS secondary school in New Ross to ensure the school can provide its students with the learning facilities required to support PE as a Leaving Certificate subject? And if you can make a statement on the matter. And before you do, I would also ask, Minister, that at some point in the very near future you will come to Wexford and visit the CBS in New Ross, so that the Principal, Pat Rossiter, can make that case to you and show you around. Thank you.
Just in the first instance, I do want to say it would not be appropriate for me, as you would appreciate, for me to comment directly on an individual school presently, and it is not the purpose of the topical issue here today. But what I will say in terms of public health in our schools, it has always and will continue to be the means of operation in our schools that we will operate on the back of full public health advice, and all of the operations within our school, right from the reopening of schools, and all of the measures we put in place in our schools have been put in place on the direction of public health, and public health continue to make judgments in terms of the operation of our schools where there might be a COVID incident, and that actually has been a request of school management and school leaders, that no individual school would have that burden of responsibility placed upon them. So it is a matter that is required to follow the public health advice as it is issued. In relation specifically to the topical issue that's raised, I do wish to thank the Deputy for raising the matter. It has also been raised with me on a consistent basis by Minister James Brown. However, today does give me an opportunity to clarify the position in relation to the Department of Education's plans for upgrading school buildings, including CBS School, New Ross. The Deputy may be aware that CBS Secondary School is a Catholic co-educational post-primary school in the town of New Ross. The school has had an enrolment in 2020 of 397 pupils. This represents an increase of 24% in the last 5 years. I am pleased to inform the Deputy that my department approved capital funding for CBS Secondary School in 2019 for the provision of 4 general classrooms, including 1 general classroom prefab replacement, 1 SET room, 1 home economics room and 1 DCG room. This project was devolved to the school authorities for delivery and they were approved to go to planning in July of 2021, and I was pleased to see that. My department's Planning and Building Unit also received an application in June of 2017 from CBS Secondary School seeking capital funding for the provision of a PE hall. The school authority was informed in writing that it is currently not possible to consider this application. However, under the National Development Plan, increased funding has been provided for the school sector capital investment programme, and that is an extremely positive and proactive step forward. This funding allows for a continued focus on the provision of new permanent school places to keep pace with demographic demand, and also provides for an additional focus on the refurbishment of existing school buildings to include the building and modernisation of PE facilities in post-primary schools. During the NDP period of 2018-2020, there were 526 completed building projects under the large-scale capital programme and the additional school accommodation scheme. These projects delivered in excess of 48,000 school places, including permanent accommodation for 229 special classes and additional capacity for 67 classrooms in 14 special schools throughout the country. The Department also has a significant existing pipeline of projects to be delivered over the coming years to meet capacity needs, managed under the large-scale capital programme and the additional school accommodation scheme. This will make significant progress in relation to providing modern, energy-efficient school facilities and the replacement of temporary accommodations. The immediate priority of the Department is providing 20,000 new and replacement school places each year to ensure that every child has a school place. However, later in the NDP period, there will absolutely be an increasing focus on the upgrade and refurbishment of the existing school stock. This will include a PE hall build and modernisation programme to ensure that students in all post-primary schools have access to these facilities. I would again like to thank the Deputy for raising the issue and indeed giving me an opportunity to outline the current position in terms of that particular type of school build.
Thank you, Minister. Deputy Murphy.
Thank you, Minister. And I will say that is very positive. And I think our engagement between yourself and myself has always been positive. So I am pleased. But I am again going to extend the invitation to visit New Ross and for Principal Rossiter to have the opportunity to show you around. And yes, I was there for the actual delivery in 2019 of the grant of monies and funding in relation to the new build. Now, 397 students has increased to 403 currently. Equally, they've lost 2 students because of the lack of PE facilities. So I think, Minister, the fact remains that we have 403 students that we need to cater for their physical education requirements. And as a mother myself, and you as a principal and a mother, I know that you are aware the physical education must be balanced with the academic education. And I think primarily today, in a time when we live with such mental health strife, and particularly what students have been through in the last number of years because of COVID and other things, we need to prioritise a build for this school. 403 students without basic tarmac in which to carry out physical education exercise, and that most of the time can't be done because of weather, particularly at this time of the year. So I think, just to quote what the principal has said, CBS New Ross is the only secondary school in the county without a sports arena. Presently, PE is delivered outside on an unsuitable tarmac yard. Winter PE is regularly not an option for the students. Presently 403 students, and this is a major issue. The School Board of Management are extremely frustrated and annoyed with the situation and feel in 2021 it is totally unacceptable for CBS New Ross to be without basic PE and sports indoor facility. However, Minister, I am heartened by what you have said today, and if you can make your way to New Ross before Christmas, I would greatly appreciate it, as would the principal. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy. Can I say I'm inundated with invitations to Wexford. Minister Brown is consistently inviting me, and indeed I accept your invitation also. Can I say that when my diary allows, I absolutely will be happy to do that whenever that might be, but certainly I'm very conscious of it. I appreciate the case that you make. I do want to say that there is positive news in what I have to say today, and I appreciate that you've acknowledged that, Deputy. The department is currently, in train with a significant pipeline of projects for delivery to the 4,000 schools that are in my care as Minister for Education. For example, for the year ahead, we have more than 200 projects that will be on site and going to construction for the 2022 period. And I think we're looking at an expend of more than 792 million in terms of capital projects for 2022. Again, a significant envelope of funding, if you like. And I'm conscious of the need to progress, specifically as you've referenced in terms of PE halls. And I am pleased to be able to say that as part of the NDP programme, there will be an increased focus on refurbishment of existing buildings, and specifically it will include PE hall build and PE hall modernisation. And I am determined as soon as is possible for us to deliver upon that. I think it's a huge vote of confidence in the education sector that we have of late have seen such, even during lockdown, we have seen such innovative and such determined delivery of additional accommodations, many of them within your own county, Deputy, and to the benefit of students within your own county. And we are determined to continue to roll that out into the future.